Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today I'm going to be giving my predictions for the classes that the cast will be playing for the Age of Umbra mini-series in the Daggerheart system. So in the past, when I've tried to predict the character classes for whatever game they're going to be doing, usually I predict for the main campaigns of Critical Role. So far I've predicted for Campaign 3, and I did a potential Campaign 4 one on for D&D in case they're sticking with that. And if they announce they're going to go full-on Daggerheart for Campaign 4, I will make an addendum and do one for that instead. But so far, my predictions haven't been all that great. I predicted classes for Campaign 3, and I only got one correct, which was Chetney with Bloodhunter. And then I predicted for the Wildmount Wildlings and didn't do well there either. So I figure there's no harm in trying to predict for a game that I am not very familiar with in Daggerheart. So, like I said earlier, we're going to be predicting the character classes the cast are going to pick for the Age of Umbra Daggerheart miniseries. However, unlike the last 3 times I've tried to predict the character classes, I am not going into this blind. I am in fact going into this with one character having been revealed. When they did the whole, set reveal and stuff like that on their Twitter, I think that was where they posted it because that was where I saw it. It might be on their TikTok too. We actually got to see some of the cards that one of the players will be using, which tells us 2 things about the player. One, or at least 2 things that matter at the moment. One's going to be a seraph, and that person is going to be a seraph human. You guys are looking at it right now. I'm sure I could make out the other stuff, but as of right now, those are the only 2 things that I'm really concerned about, because we see Divine Wielder, which is a seraph ability, and we see the card that says human. I do think that says, what does that say? Slyborn as well. So we do know their I think it's background or where they're born roughly. So yeah, we have a base for someone here. Now, who do I think this is going to be? Personally, I think, and some of you may disagree with me on this, but I think this is going to be Travis. I think Travis, if you look at the history of his characters across, D&D, and even his history across Daggerheart, they've only had 2 sets of characters for Daggerheart, the Menagerie and that one-shot, the Christmas one-shot they did. He hasn't played a support role yet, and Seraph is kind of like the cleric of Daggerheart. So I think it would be really interesting to see Travis in this potential role. And honestly, Travis kind of plays it safe with his character, like races and stuff too, or in this case, ancestry. So playing human, pretty safe as well, pretty bland. So something tells me that this could be Travis. I wish we could tell a little bit better about the positioning of where this person is sitting based off this picture, because if it was on an end, I would almost guarantee this be Travis. But we can't tell if it's on the end or not, but who knows? It might be one of the ends or the other. Who knows? I don't know. But I feel pretty strong about Travis potentially playing a support character for this miniseries. He might try something a little different than what he has in the past, and maybe this will be a good start for it. So we talked about Travis. I guess we should move right on to his other half and talk about Laura Bailey. I think she's going to play a druid. Now, I've made this prediction in the past for her. I forget if it was campaign 3 where I predicted her playing druid, and I might have made this prediction for her campaign 4 character as well if they do D&D. But I just feel like she would enjoy druid, and for her to have not played it yet is wild to me. As far as I'm aware, she hasn't played it any like one-shots or mini-series. I'm 90% sure she hasn't. I'm pretty sure for Downfall she was a warlock. So she hasn't played druid yet, and I feel like she would enjoy it a lot. Why? One of her favorite things to do when she was playing Jester was to cast Polymorph on herself and just become random shit. That was one of her favorite things to do, and she did it a lot. So to have that just be her like class ability would be really cool. Now, I'm not 100% sure how the Druid subclass or the Druid class works in Daggerheart. It might be a little bit different and maybe have a few different restrictions, but I feel like this would also be a good way to display the differences between Druid in Daggerheart compared to D&D. So I feel like that's a good shout that she might play Druid, because first of all, she'd have a lot of fun doing it, and second, it would be a good showing for the Druid class in Daggerheart. Now, on top of that, I technically didn't need to make a prediction for the race for Travis's character because it says it right next to it. So right next to everything else there that we know is a seraph. So realistically, I don't have to give Ancestry predictions, but I feel like they want to show off a lot of their stuff. And to me, it makes a lot more sense that they would pick something sort of different than regular. I know Travis picked human, but I feel like Laura is going to play either a Galapa, I think that's how you say it, which is like the turtle race, or a fairy, which would be fun to watch as well. So now we are moving on to Liam O'Brien, and as of late, I've noticed that he's taking on a sort of protector role, right? I don't know if this is something that in his personal life or whatever, that he feels like some sort of protector, which he's a father. It makes sense if he does. So he's been putting that into a lot of his characters as of late, specifically Orym and Arrow. The two of them automatically stick out as like protector-like people. And I feel like he's going to continue moving forward with that sort of mindset. And Guardian in Daggerheart is very much the like protective like tank class, where they're able to like use their hope, or I think hope, and exchange it for like being able to reduce armor point damage. And if you don't know what armor points is, if I remember correctly, armor points, you have health points, which are like little ticks, and if you fill out all the ticks, you go down. But if you choose, you can choose to have your armor get weakened a little bit and check a armor point instead. That way you don't take like HP damage. So you can choose between one of those to like if you want to take it or not, and depending on how good the armor is, you can reduce the damage your HP takes. Sort of deal. And that's sort of like one of the main abilities for like an early level Guardian, is to be able to do that for, I believe, themselves and for others. I might be wrong. It's been a little bit since I've looked at this stuff, but that just feels like it makes a lot of sense for Liam to play if he's going to pick up this protector role. And like I said, he's just been picking up and giving off protector vibes a lot recently, like very recently to me. So that just makes sense to me. So that's why I'm picking that. If I had to go over the Ancestry, I feel like he'd have a lot of fun playing a Clank. There you go. Clank. All right, so we are now at the point where I'm becoming less confident in my predictions. The first three, I feel very strongly about. Moving forward for the next four, not terribly confident in these all that much, although I do have some reasoning to why I think these ones might go the way I think. But just letting you know, from this point on, I'm kind of just going off of, what I think they would like playing, maybe, and what I think would be really cool for them to play. So we talked about Liam, we might as well talk about his other half, Sam Riegel, and I think he's been missing magic a lot, and I mean like strictly magic. So for those of you who are confused by what I mean by that, because all of his characters have had magic, but Scanlan was a bard, which was a lot of heavy magic and support, and because of his like lore secrets, he was able to reach into other more powerful spell like lists and start using more powerful spells. And I feel like he's missing that. He wants to play something that has like more impact to it. I guess like a lore bard who can have more spells. Because after that, he would play an arcane trickster, which is one of the fucking worst D&D spell like subclasses ever. I don't give a shit. Booming Blade is not good enough to justify anything. So I'm gonna piss off a lot of people with that. So Sam went from bard to arcane trickster, then he went to, well, technically there's something else in between, but we're not going to worry about it. And then he went to play a cleric, which is very much a support heavy class. And I feel like once he started playing Breas, he was having a lot more fun because he was able to just smack a ton of damage down. And I feel like that's something he'd want to do again. So I feel like we got to keep magic with him. He's going to play sorcerer. I just feel like sorcerer and wizard are both like really, powerful wizard types or like spellcasting types. So for him to have that oomph behind him again would probably be a lot more fun for him than being a support class or being a melee class that can't boost itself with magic. So I feel like Sam wants to play a magical character with a lot of impact. Sorcerer might be right up that list. And as far as race goes, I feel like Simia would be really good for him because, he can be a monkey and fool around. So moving on to Ashley Johnson, who I feel like was most comfortable playing D&D when she got to be like her chaotic, charismatic self, because that very much embodies her. So what's a very chaotic, allowing, charismatic, allowing class? bard. I think that she would make a fantastic bard, and to, you know, be allowed to truly be herself and to be weird and charismatic and crazy and wacky and kooky. I also think rogue could fit that as well, because when you think of like your typical rogue, they're very, you know, like suave and stuff like that. So I feel like either one of these two could lean into Ashley being allowed to like being herself and being very much chaotic, kooky, and charming all at the same time. As far as race goes, Qatari. Again, I think these races are totally random. And yes, I could theoretically just stare at some of the minis for a long time and figure out what they are, because there is a mini thing that they showed off as well when I initially showed off like the cards that the person had. But I don't want to do that. I think that's boring. So if you guys want to do that and sit there and be like, this is this. But honestly, I don't think all of those are like player characters, but they might. Who knows? So Qatari, Bard, or Rogue for Ashley Johnson. We then move on to Marisha Ray, who I feel like wants to play a character like Bo again, who's not necessarily martial, but who I think is someone who's very intelligent, because I feel like she like very much reveled in the idea of her character being that intelligent individual. And like that was a very fitting place for her to be in. And then if this is going to be a grimdark setting, to be able to be like the lore keeper, I feel like would be a lot of fun for her, especially because of her, you know, obviously she's married to Matt, which means she likely has a lot more insider information than a lot of other people might. So maybe it'll help her out for being that lore keeper, if you will, which is why I think she's going to play Wizard. First of all, I think she's probably missing the, you know, the fun explosiveness of playing like a really powerful caster. Yes, Laudna was a, you know, decently powerful caster, but her main thing was Eldritch Blast, and because, you know, that's just Warlock's thing. After they run out of spells, you got Eldritch Blast. Wizard has a ton of spells, and I feel like she'd have a ton of fun playing a wizard and just being that lore keeper, being the intelligent one of the group. One of my favorite moments of, you know, Marisha of all time is her figuring out like the connections between Lucy and the Notagon and all that Somnovum stuff. That is one of like the best moments of, you know, someone figuring everything out and then being able to verbalize it correctly. I think is one of the coolest things that's happened in Critical Role. So for her to have something similar to that and the potential to do that again, I feel like she would revel in that idea. As far as like ancestry goes, Fun Grill. Why not? I don't think we're going to want to see another frog wizard again after Padmud. We don't want to get too close to that. So a fungus wizard. That sounds like fun. And then moving on to Talzin Jaffe, the last one I have to make a guess for. And unfortunately, I really can't tell. I really couldn't tell, because normally I would be able to make some sort of cop-out answer for Talzin, saying like he's going to be a homebrew class. Can't really do that for Daggerheart right now, right? They got to display the core game of Daggerheart before they start mixing and matching into other stuff. But I think what would be really fun for him would be to show off how much better Ranger is in Daggerheart than D&D, right? Matt's Ranger is much better in Daggerheart, so maybe that can be his like homebrew thing, you know, like he's displaying something that Matt made that can be better than in D&D, sort of like how a homebrew is better than, you know, a regular class. But that's just me. I'm making a total guess on Talzin here. And as far as what I think would be funny to go with Ranger, Ribbit, Frog, a frog ranger with a animal companion that they ride on. Sounds fucking dope now that I think about it. So I hope that's what we get. So there I have it, my class predictions for the Age of Umbra miniseries for the cast. Oh wait, I forgot one. I think Matthew Mercer is gonna be the Game Master. Anyway, besides that obvious prediction, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys leave what you think is going to be your predictions. And if anything got like leaked that I didn't see, because I'm actively like avoiding stuff like that. I tend to avoid leaks and trailers and shit like that for good reason. And if for those of you who have spent way more time like just dissecting the trailer that they put out for the like the set and the little sneak peeks they gave, like if you've spent more time than me, good for you. I'm sure my ancestries are way off anyway. I'm more so concerned about the classes, but the reason I give myself ancestries is just in case I get something else right. Anyway, I will see you guys on Friday for whatever video I make next, because I'm likely not going to break down the session 0. I don't feel the need to do that. So whatever video I make after that, and then Monday's video, and then finally on the 29th, is it 29th or 30th? Whatever day it is, the Friday after the first episode of the Age of Umbra will be out, and I will be recapping it. So I will see you guys then. So until then, peace.